Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Get Out of Your Comfort Zone podcast. I am especially excited for today's guest, none other than this minority, a burgeoning hip hop artist based out of Brooklyn. I am so excited for him to be joining us, especially because of his story and his come up and how it relates to just joined. And I'm going to send an invite. Hello.
Peace.
How's it going, Theo?
It's going good, man. It's going good.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for making the time to join us. It's an honor. I was just telling the guests a little bit about you. Thank you so much to the audience for making the time to join us. If it's okay with you, Theo, shall we get started and I can give an introduction?
Yeah, man. Let's go for it.
All right. So, Theo is a hip hop artist, amazing. I haven't had a chance to share this, but one of his songs actually inspired me to write a poem about meditation and the importance of it. So that just goes to show how much I care about this artist. Theo grew up in New Orleans. Grew up poor, had to move around a lot, so much so that he felt like he was on a tour of New Orleans. Theo also grew up without a father, and we're gonna get into that today. Um, I think New Orleans is such a musical city that anybody who grows up there by default has a lot easier time tapping into their inner musician. But earlier on in life, Theo did pick up a trumpet, but for whatever reason, was not able to continue with it and did not have as much confidence to persevere. He was a self-described loner who felt like he was not enough and chose to become comfortable with it. He grappled with a lot of anger. Both of these things are going to be topics we're going to further explore today. And before fully waking up to the musician within himself, Theo is also a working professional, a CPA at that. And that is one of the reasons why I am especially excited and passionate to share this episode with you all today, because I feel that there is a limiting belief that a career and exploring the artist within cannot coexist on the same plane, the same life. And Theo is an example that busts that myth wide open. So with that, Theo, tell us the story of how you and I met, my brother.
Oh man, it was a good night. It was a real good night. It was at the Unruly Collective in Brooklyn. Now I'm still new to the city, so I don't know what part of Brooklyn because Brooklyn is pretty big.
Yep.
But it was on the L train, off the L train. But yeah, we was in the basement. And it was a good vibe. They had amazing performers that went before me, and I just went up there, and I think that I wonder if I had the singing bowl that night. Did I have the singing bowl that night? I feel like I had the singing
Um,
bowl that night before
Perhaps.
I did
I don't
the
remember.
track. Yeah, but I did. Like I said, it was a good night, and I did my track Meta. I think before I met her, I did Love, but I did the track Meta in the crowd. Everybody was just feeling it. It wasn't my first time doing it there, and everything. It was a crowd favorite and everything. And I think it was maybe my fourth time doing it, but the love in the room, it was just I can't even describe the love, and I appreciate everybody that was in there. And it was a good time for meta to be played. The track is about meditation and just me reflecting on wanting to be an entertainer, and how when you want to entertain and going into that realm of fame and everything, you deal with greed, pride, and lust. And it's like those things are tied to things we want. Like greed is tied to wanting to be fed, and pride is tied to confidence, and lust is tied to love. And those, all three of those things are the reason why we're doing music. Want to be fed. Confidence keeps us doing it, and love is just like, it's just, we just want love. Period. So it was a good night to do that track, and Faiza was in the crowd, and after I performed, me and him just chopped it up a little bit and things. And the spot is an hour away, so I was on my way out. It was an hour away from home, so I was
Wow.
on my way out, and I chopped it up with him, and shucks, we got talking like I do the podcast. And I was like, oh man, I'd love to be a part of it, and I appreciate being here for
And
real.
that was back in June, right? And like last
Yeah,
I checked, it was
man.
October. So kudos to us for persevering.
Yeah.
With that, Theo, please tell us what is the significance of the mask on your face, right? Enlighten us.
Yeah, so the significance of the masses, it symbolizes a cocoon. Like you said earlier, I was a self-described loner and everything, and now I'm on stages. I'm getting in front of people and everything. Not only that, I'm talking to people and everything. I'm less of a loner now. I do cherish my alone time, but I am far less of a loner than I used to be and things. So this symbolizes a cocoon and everything, and it's a chakra thing cocoon. So this right here, this is like the throat chakra, and also a mix of the throat chakra and also the I want to say the crown chakra. I think the crown chakra is indigo, the throat chakra is blue. So when I was making this, I was just yeah, when I was making this, I was just mixing those two colors together, and just trying to capture that essence and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So yeah, this is my cocoon.
Mm-hmm. That's quite profound that you sort of wear such an outward symbol to remind all of us of how, in some shape or form, we are all in different layers of cocoons, and that we have the choice and the power to emerge out of it. And as we, summon the courage and the strength to break out of it, we get more powerful, more wise, you know,
Hmm.
more wild, and unleash our greatness. So thank you for that. Um, you know, one of the things that really stuck out to me when we were getting to know each other is, the story of your dad and you growing up without him. So could you, sort of share with us, the like how old you were, what happened, and how that, to what level it impacted you?
Well, I wasn't born when my father passed away at all. I wasn't even like I was conceived and
Mm-hmm.
everything. I was already in my mother, but I wasn't here yet. So just coming out and like in that that section or that side of guidance and everything, because it's two. It takes two to make a kid. So you get this one story. Yes, you have one parent. You have your parents' stories within you, some type of way. So you get to see this side of that's within you, but this other side you only hear about it. It's a fabled tale. You know, somebody say, "Oh, your father used to do this," or "You look like your father," or "This is him." So it thinking about it right now, having this thought, it makes me feel like I'm missing out on something. It makes me feel like I'm missing out on a part of myself. You know, of course, these people, anyone that came across my father,
Mhm.
they they miss him. So of course they'll say, "Oh, you remind me of him," and things like that. But at the same time, it's somebody I don't know, and things. You know, I never shook his hand. He never held me. You know, we never were acquainted. So
Mhm.
growing up and just feeling like I'm not whole, I'm missing something. I'm missing a piece, and things, and seeing people around me, that's whole on some way, shape, or form, and everything. It encourages or it deepens that feeling of loneliness and not being complete, so not being able to really be a part of whatever's going on around me because I'm not feeling whole, I'm not feeling complete, I'm feeling half, you know, operating at 50%. Oh,
So that's powerful, right? Um, feeling growing up without a father, notwithstanding the circumstances around which, he was taken away from you even before you were born, but seeing all these examples of kids around you who were whole, right, had both halves, a mom and a dad, and
mm-hmm.
you only having one half. Could you open up and tell us a little bit about where this belief might have come that you need two to sort of feel whole, right? And then I'd love to get into some of the anger that caused, because what you grappled with is not uncommon, right?
Yes.
Some people, a lot of people, still grapple with that. So if you could shed some light onto that.
Yeah, well, it came from a lot of reflection. Of course, when you're in the midst of it all, you just feeling it, but especially at a young age, you don't understand
You don't know any
what
better.
the hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't understand what's going on. You just know you're living this and you're feeling this way. You're
Mm,
feeling alone and isolated and things, and you don't even know that other people are feeling this way. You just feel like it's you and things. Even if someone say, "Oh yeah, this happened to me too," it still feel isolated, and it just after some deep reflection and just looking at how I felt in the room, seeing such and such with her father, or such and such talking about his dad, and things. It's just like I'm missing out on a story.
mm,
Talking to my mother, she'll say, "Oh, we used to do this when I was a kid and everything."
mm,
Like she's telling me her perspective and how
mm,
she viewed it. Whereas with my father, of course, he maybe done something with whoever and things, but it's from their side. It's their perspective. So it's like hearing about a movie.
mm,
You heard about it, but you never saw it. They can tell you back to front, but it's nothing like seeing that movie to get the full picture and the full feel of it and things. So that feeling of like, damn, I must be missing out on something. Everybody telling me these things he did and stories. I'm like, damn, I'm really lacking. They got people that have their father right here in front of I see you with your dad, and he could probably say, "Oh yeah, I remember that park. I scraped my knee over there or whatever and things." I don't even know about those things. Those things that my father probably never told nobody that he could have told me or that I could have experienced indirectly and
mm.
everything. So just missing that story and
Yeah.
everything. It's just, and you know what's crazy? I remember this reflection probably dawned on me probably after 25 because I
Okay.
remember I was talking to a friend and she was talking about history. She was going deeper though, like ancestry and things. And I think because I got so far, I felt like I got so far without knowing my father's story. I
Mm-hmm.
think I didn't value that. So she was telling me, yeah, history matters and things like that. And yes, I was like, it don't matter that much. It's okay. We don't need it and things. But it was after that, and I started talking more to my grandfather and things. So even though it wasn't my father, it was, it was somebody else, and they used to tell me their stories and things. It was close to my father, closest
Yeah,
part of my father I could get,
yeah,
and things besides his mother.
yeah,
And that's when I really started to value those histories and those stories and ancestry in
yeah,
a way, and things, because sometimes you think and things
yeah,
until you know
yep,
and things. Like I said, I thought histories didn't matter. I felt it because I'm like, I got here this far and I didn't know shit about my daddy.
yeah,
But then it's like, nah, I was sad because I needed to know,
yeah.
certain
And
kind of things.
Theo, you hit on something that is a big core value of mine is our ancestors have a
Hmm.
lot of wisdom, those who came before us, and spending time and effort to get to know our history wherever and however we can, um, is a source of just bounty and abundance for us. So thank you for hitting on that. Now, one thing that I don't want to spend too much time on, but I think it's also important is, you know, people deal with loneliness in two primary ways, all right?
Hmm.
One is the way that you chose, which is to become a loner, right? And one is the way that I, have a tendency of choosing, more so in my younger days, which is seeking attention and not being a loner. So, do you have any sense, if at all, of what was it about your loneliness that made you gravitate towards becoming a loner?
uh, think about my loneliness that made me gravitate towards becoming a loner. Um, I guess it being a loner really it's simple. It's a simple living. When you interact with people, because I think I mentioned it to you when we had our talk
Uh-huh.
about the kindergarten and everything. Like
Yeah,
after kindergarten, that's when I
yeah.
started to
Give
get
a little
more
bit
in
of
touch with.
background to the audience before you
Yeah,
get into it.
yeah. Huh? Oh, about the kindergarten.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So before in kindergarten and everything, up till like even in pre-K, like from probably 3 to 5 or 6, I was interacting with people. I wasn't at that around those ages. I was, talking and things, and I was a kid that interacted with people. But I guess as I started to recognize more, and like I didn't know, but now I know about me not having them stories and things, and me really missing out and things. I think that's when I started to pull back. And I've started not, and I think I feel like I started to pull back because being alone is simple. If it's just you, then you don't have to deal with other people. So you don't have to deal with whatever they have going on with their life and things. Maybe you're talking to a kid and I'm like, I wish I had some gum right now. I'm sad and things. You don't have to deal with that because you're all alone. It's just you. And yes, you're sitting in your sadness and things. And it sounds like it's good, but it's really not a healthy way to deal with it and things. But at the same time, it seems simple. It's like it's just me. I'm the only one hurting, and I could just do this and things. I could play a video game. I could escape into that, but I can just fake it when I have to, and most times just be by myself.
Mhm.
Don't really get close to no one. And of course you try, but then you subconsciously pull back all the time.
Mhm.
Because I had like little friends in elementary school, but I never really been by nobody's house. I never even aim to be invited anywhere. There wasn't. I didn't feel sad that I was left out. I didn't. And things. It was just me just dealing with that shit. So
Mhm.
that's what I think will pull me towards being a loner. Just
Mhm.
that isolation of it,
Mhm.
and it's less. It's complicated because you still got to deal with your shit, but it's less complicated. It seems less complicated because you're not dealing with other people's shit
That's
at all.
gold. That's gold, Theo. You know, that's such a wonderful explanation of how the choice to be a loner is one that seemed like a simple choice because you're just grappling with your own sadness and loneliness and not having to complicate with the interpersonal dynamics of others. And so with that, let's transition to talking about how this world that you created for yourself as a child as a result of what you had experienced of growing up without your dad, how that started to manifest and feed the anger that you started to feel and help by illustrating, painting us a picture of when was the first time that you became recognized that you have anger within you. And I know you and I spend quite a bit of time talking about it, but I'd love for you to put a little bit of background to that for the audience and before we get into it.
Well,
Hmm.
reflecting on it and everything, I don't think I mentioned this, but I feel like I really realized I was angry and everything. Of course, I was angry because something was missing, and I didn't like it. But
Yeah.
I realized it, and that's when I really started to pull back thinking about it because it was something that happened in elementary school. Um, it was something simple. Every day, the teacher gives someone this one special kid. Kids like to help with shit all the
Hmm.
time. So give this one special kid the chance to help her pass out the toys to recess.
Uh-huh.
And then, so it was my turn. I had this bag filled with all type of stuff, balls, whatever you name, frisbees, whatever.
Yeah.
And the kids bum rushed me. They just bum rushed me and took it. They just
Damn.
took everything and everything. And I was like, no, y'all gotta wait your turn. So
Yeah.
I really, it was like on some maybe John Wick stuff. Thinking about on I felt like I had to get all the toys back. Like I had to make this right. So I went around and I attacked the kids and I got the toys back. And I remember I had this rope and I hit a kid with like I went around and I just was pissed off. And I just went like I went off on them and I took the toys and then on top of that, when I realized that I was about to get in trouble, I attempted to escape campus. I tried to run off campus, and my aunt lived around the corner. So I tried to escape the campus and run to my aunt's house. And shit, it was crazy thinking about it. And you know, that's when I realized I'm I'm pretty upset, and I don't think it had nothing to do with them kids. But that's some subconscious shit. Reflecting
Yeah.
back on it and everything. But that moment, kind of scared me a little bit because that was my first time really experiencing my anger on the surface.
Yeah.
You have this thing that lays dormant within you that you don't acknowledge. Of course, you're not talking. You don't even know what the fuck's going on. You're not talking about it and things, and then it just erupts and it comes out and things, and you're just like, man, fuck, this is scary shit. Your heart racing, you upset, you seeing red and things, and it'll make you want to pull back.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
And thank you so much for sharing. Ultimately, the way I understand it is anger is just an outward manifestation of a deeper and mostly deeper and different feeling of some kind of hurt, sadness
Yeah.
that comes out misguided. as anger, and as somebody who grappled with a lot of anger myself, it's something that resonates very deeply with me. So thank you for sharing that. One of the things that I'd love to sort of pivot to and explore is in your journey, right? As emerging, waking up to the artist within. Can you tell us about, at this point, you're an accountant, you're working in New Orleans. What happened that set you on the path to waking up to the artist within, right? Could you paint us a
Yeah.
picture of that? Where you were in life? Were you in a relationship? What happened?
Well, it's crazy. From what I hear and what I see, outside of my experience, it always seemed like it's always tied to a relationship that ended or whatever, and that's where shit started to change. Yeah, like I broke up, she broke up with me, and the next thing you know, you start to try to find yourself or whatever the hell. You start doing different shit. It always, and that's kind of like what happened with me. I was in between. I was studying for my CPA exam and things, and I was like in the midst of it. I didn't take a test yet, but I was studying for that shit, and I was spending hours. And my ex, she was like, when you gonna spend time with me? I spent time with her, but she wanted more time, and I was like, I need to pass this test because I finished it and everything, so I'm gonna finish this and things. But she wanted more time, and I just felt like I couldn't do it. So, I ended it. And then that's when I took my test and I finished it. And then that's when I was just sitting. Like, I wasn't even excited that I passed, really. I wasn't like crying and taking pictures or whatever. I just was like, I got the last result. I was like, oh, I passed. And that's all. I'm like, oh, cool, I passed. On my mind was like, I don't want to pay for this shit again. So I better pass. But I was like, oh, cool, I passed. And I just was sitting like, what's next? I had like a career path, but at the same time, I just was like, what's next for me? I'm not studying anymore. Am I gonna work all the time? Like, what the fuck is life? What am I doing? And everything. And then that's when I really I saw this, I don't know, I think this J. Cole verse I heard and everything. He said, my own adversary was my own mind, killed my ego. Now I'm snapping like it's old nine with a gold mine of inspiration for y'all. And something about that, it just triggered something in me because I was like, here's somebody who was like dealing with a lot of shit in themselves and they overcame it. And now they want to give positivity and inspire people. And I was like, I came a long way from that angry kid and that was alone and everything. I built myself up. I feel like I built up my confidence. So I was like, I want to do some public speaking and everything. I want to inspire people with words, and I want to do speech. And I saw this fantastic public speaker at this fraud conference I went to, and he
Of
was
all
like,
places, a
I know,
fraud
right? It
conference.
was a phone conference. It was crazy. It was like he was doing a. He was basically because he knew the audience. The audience was accountants that's not comfortable with talking to people and shit like that. So he was a professional public speaker, and his job was to get us comfortable with speaking. And he did such an amazing job. He broke the science down to what you wear, how you keep people engaged. It was like master class on the shit. He used to be a dentist, and he just did a speech on how to do a speech. And I asked him, like, man, how you do this shit? Like, how you get to where you are right now? I mean, I'm not saying you wasn't always like this, but how? And he told me to take dancing classes and do this public speaking organization called Toastmasters and things. So I was like, "Why dance?" And he was like, "So you can move comfortably while you up there speaking. You'll be comfortable with movement and everything." So I hurried up and Like I signed up for Toastmasters.
Mm-hmm.
And then you know how God moves. It was like my grandfather's next door neighbor. She
Mm-hmm.
happens to be a dancer, and then on top of that, she told me they got this place that has dance classes. So I went there. This place is named Dancing Grounds. It's in New Orleans, by water, a night walk, and they had this class called Salsa Sweat, taught by this cat named Randall Rosenberg, and man, it was amazing. Just getting the basics down in salsa, and I'm doing Toastmasters. I'm doing these hand in hand, and then the next one they told me about open mics. I'm like, oh shit, I've never been to open mic. I'm gonna check it out. And things, I went to the open mic, and they had singers there and rappers. I'm like, oh, this shit nice, man. I went there every Wednesday. It's this spot called Jazz Market, hosted by DC Paul, and it was a live band, Cool Nasty, and they were just jamming every Wednesday. I was up in there religiously, like for real. And then that's when I met this one poet. She did like a poem and song. And I was like, man, that shit's deep. She said, hey, we got another open mic over here called it's all Corner Collective. It was like Icon and all these other dope fire poets. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna come check it out. I go up in there on Wednesday, and that's when something clicked in me. They had this poet named Icon. Man, she did this poem. I don't remember it. I just remember the feeling. Like this pull towards this new world, this new realm of like existence. And I was like, damn, I don't know what about this spoken word poetry shit, but I need to get some of this action. Like I need to get in on this and everything. So I watched her do it. I went to all the shows she went to, and I just watched her perform and just open herself up and put herself out there and things. And I just was watching when I was doing the public speaking and things. I was going to Toastmasters doing that, and I came across an old friend, a friend of mine. And she was like, I asked her to help me write a speech, and she challenged me to write a poem. And I tried my hand at it on lunch when I was at work. I tried my hand at it on lunch at work, and I was like, oh, this is a nice poem. This is pretty good for my first try. I thought it was pretty neat. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, I thought it was pretty neat. I personified greatness in the poem and everything. I thought it was a pretty neat poem.
Yeah.
And I took that, and then like probably I think that was in 2017, so probably 3 months later, and just the timeline, it was like 2016, broke up with my ex, and and then like 2017, that's the whole open mics, Toastmasters, and everything, doing all that. But at the end of 2017, I really started going to more open mics, and I went to this one open mic, and I kind of knew the host. And she was like, "Hey man, look, some people that are supposed to be here, they're not here yet. Can you get up there and just do a little poem or something like that?" I was like, "I never performed this shit before. You know, I'm new to this. I never got up." She was like, "Just do it." And I was like, "Okay, I'll help you out." She didn't say just do it, but I just went up there, and my hands were shaking. I'm sweating like a mug, and I read the poem off my phone, and it felt good. I was still nervous, but it felt good to release that poem out and everything. And then that's when, after that, it was a good open mic. It was amazing. But after the open mic, I think it was the next morning or that night, I wrote a poem that I was like, this is gonna be the first poem I seriously perform. And when I wrote it, I knew where I was gonna perform it at, and I rehearsed like crazy. I rehearsed like probably 5 times a day. Like I was rehearsing. I was like, I can't mess this up. I'm gonna do it. And I remember that poet that inspired me. She ended up giving me her number, and I used to just ask her, about for advice. And I rehearsed so much. I reached out to her like, when do you know when to stop rehearsing? Like I keep rehearsing. I think I'm gonna lose my voice before I perform. Like when do I know to stop? And I was rehearsing like crazy. I did not want to mess up, and everything. It was ridiculous. And
Trying to
the
memorize this
first,
shit, right?
yeah, I wanted to do it without no paper, just interact with the crowd. And my first time doing it, I was filled with anxiety before, and I had people that went before me that made the anxiety deepen. But once
Yeah.
I did it, I was like, man, I can see why people do this shit. It felt so good just to release and tell this, like, in a way I felt like I spoke like I never spoke before. Like I speak in front of people. I never really communicated like this and things. It was my time to be open. It was my time to show me. So I was doing that like crazy in 2018. And then somehow, some way, 2019 ended up, well, I ain't gonna say somehow, some way. I got cool with some people that made music, and they asked me to come to the studio, and they intended for me to do poetry. But I heard this beat, and I was like, man, I gotta write some raps to this. Like, I was trying to write rhymes to this shit.
Real quick, before we come to that, because I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the transition from Theo the poet to this minority hip hop artist. I wanted to call attention to something that you said like more than 5 minutes ago and bring the conversation back there. You said, you used the word religiously, that you went to the open mics
Oh, yeah.
religiously. And I want to
Right.
just take a moment to point out to the audience that once you were inspired to take up public speaking by this amazing individual who then mentored you or gave you tips, you joined Toastmasters. Not just one Toastmasters, but two Toastmasters.
Right.
You
Yeah.
joined a salsa class. You joined swing dancing, right?
Right.
You started, and then I think when we were talking, you said one of your grandfather's neighbors told you about open mic, and you started
Yeah.
doing the open mic, and you did these things consistently with
Yeah.
this fervor and hunger, right? Now, going back
Yeah.
to what you said religiously, there was one thing that my mom sort of told us growing up, like a broken record. She would say, Farhan, religion is a gift from God. Religion is a gift from God. And I never knew what the fuck she meant, you know, until, until later on in life, I realized religion is a tool, whatever, right? Because ultimately, who and what you worship doesn't matter. But religion teaches us the skill, the art of devotion. And
Mm,
ultimately, it is the practice of devotion, the routine of devotion, the heart of devotion that, if applied to anything, will allow you to exceed and excel. And that, my
mm,
friend Theo, that is what you did. And that is why you are here. We are here talking to each other about your story, right? Devotion,
right,
baby. I
right.
want to applaud, commend, bring all the attention in the world that there was devotion driving you to do all of these things despite your career, right? A
Right.
career that takes up a good chunk of your day. Despite that, pursuing your craft, it was that devotion. So,
That's real.
so
That's real
with that,
talk, man. Uh, Damn, you hit that. That was it. That was it. Damn, you hit that one.
I
Shit.
appreciate
I appreciate you.
it. So with that in mind, my brother, let's talk about the transformation or, you know, transitioning of, you were a poet, right? Let's get back to the story. You were a poet, you were writing, and how you also transformed into a hip hop artist. So if you would please backtrack a little bit and continue on.
Yeah. So like 2018, 2019, I'm just doing poetry left and right. I'm going open mics. I don't know, somehow my mind is story driven. So it's like I already conducted this series in my head. The people don't know I'm doing it, but I'm like, I'm gonna do this poem to tell them why I'm doing poetry. Then I'm gonna do this poem to tell them what I want to give and how I want to give it. Then I'm gonna dive into who I am on the low vibration, the sad side. Then I'm gonna talk about the things that lifted me up. Like I'm just doing this. People don't even know, but I'm just giving them my story and the story is projects. And then I got this other project I'm gonna hit them with later and things. So it's like I'm doing all this and I did it and everything. And like I said, some friends asked me to come to the studio. And I go to the studio and my friend Casada, he was like, yeah, man, I always wanted to work with you on some poetry. Should have wanted you to get up here and do some poetry. And I was like, cool, man. I mean, shit, I've never been in the booth. It ain't shit. I've gotten comfortable to perform in front of people and things to where I was just, of course, I get anxiety before and things, but I was still comfortable because I know how it feels on the other side of everything. So I was like, yeah, man, I get in the studio. That ain't nothing. So I get there and I hit his beat. He's a phenomenal beat maker. I'm like, shit, man, I gotta write a rap to this. I can't do poetry. I gotta rap. So I'm writing a rap and everything. And I recorded. I recorded the song, and it just wasn't it. I was like, dang, man, like what's going on? Like it was intimidating being on a mic, and I'm just staring at a wall in
Mm-hmm.
his apartment. Not the people. The people I realized gave me the fuel. I'm up there performing, I'm interacting, I'm making eye contact, learned that from Toastmasters. I'm using all the skills I learned, but on the mic I can't dance. I can't move left and right with my footwork. I gotta be right here for I gotta channel all this energy within myself and put that into the mic and things. And that's not something, you don't do when you're talking in front of people. When you're talking in front of people, you can't just stand in one place and just do it. I mean, sometimes, yeah, certain pieces, but same time, you engage in the people. The people love to see you move and things, so you can move them. You move them deeper when you move. So it was intimidating rapping on the mic and things. And I did that for a little bit in 2019. That's when COVID hit and things. And before that, man, Casada, we used to get together and he just used to make me beats because I used to come up with sample ideas. I'll bring him a song, like, man, they got the certain part, you need to sample it. And he'll sample it, and then I'll write a rap to it. Excuse me, then I'll record it. Then I'll be like, dang, I'm still not there yet. And thing that was like for the last part of 2019, I just was like shaking my head at myself, like I ain't there yet. Like, so I
Mm.
started back doing exercises and things to get there. I used to get with a friend. I started at the end of 2019. I used to get with a friend, Nico, and we used to be freestyling to like lo-fi beats a lot. Just freestyling, just sitting there freestyling lo-fi beats. I have a random word generator just to get me used to like get a flow going
Yeah.
and things. So I used to do that, just freestyle the random lo-fi beats, and then that's when COVID hit
Wow.
and everything. So when COVID hit, my job that I was working at, they were like, yeah, everybody gonna have to work from home. But I needed a place to scream, get loud, like I'm in the studio and everything. I needed a place like that. And they had the place. It was a big building and nobody was going to be in the office. So I was like, I'll stay at the office and everybody else can work from home. I mean, somebody got to keep this place safe. Now, I wasn't going to keep the place safe if somebody broke in, but I just needed the space and shit. So they gave me the space. They let me get in the office of like 3 stories. And I'm up in there most of the times. I'm barely working and I'm writing rhymes and rehearsing rhymes and shit in the building. I'm doing multiple writing exercises. I'm putting up random word generators. I'm doing word exercises on metaphors, exercises on like making this round with that. Like I'm doing multiple exercises, and then on top of that, I'm freestyling with my friend Nico. This is all in 2020. That's all I'm doing and everything. And then that's when I come up with some songs for the Minority Report and drop. And I'm just writing those rounds and things. Now remember, Casada left town and things. He left town, and I was just doing my exercises. I was just hitting them things hard and hard and hard. I got married. I like everything was going on. I was just hitting these exercises like back to back, and I remember when he came back in town, and I went up in there and I recorded. And I was like, oh, this is it. This is I'm like I'm on a good trajectory now. I'm finally to that point to where I'm going like this. I'm going up and everything in my skill and everything. So I just was hitting it back to back. I go to the studio by him, and then that's when some things happened with him, so I had to switch studios. And I found this. It was just crazy how that aligned. My studio I went to after him, and there's a cat named Rossi, First Class Rossi. It's go by him. I recorded all the songs on my project that released last month. I recorded all them songs by him, First Class Rossi. And shit, I moved to New York. Me and my wife moved out here in February. And shit, cause I wrote the song that you was on Meta. I mean that you
Yeah,
like Meta. I wrote that in my office. I remember the day I wrote it because the beat. I was just on YouTube looking for beats and shit, and I remember coming across it, and I used the random word generator, and I think one of the first word was I think the word was treat
hmm
and everything. I was like, man, no, it wasn't treat. It was leave or something like that. So I was like, all right, leave, receive, conceive. And I was like, all right, what can I do with this song? And then that's when it started to come to me. Treat it like I leave it. And you don't receive shit. And you don't believe me. And you can't conceive it. No, baby, you a Tyler. I'm the father. Like that's. I'm like, man, where the hell did she even coming from? I don't even like rap like this, but it was like this aggression, and I had to dig deep and understand. Like I'm digging into some shit because I'm coming into realization that this rap shit is not something I want to do on the side. You know, fame, I mean not fame, but connecting, mass connection.
yeah,
And you know, entertainment is not something I want to do. I don't want my selling to be open mics. I want to do it on a higher level. And that welcomes certain things like the greed and the pride and the lust I mentioned earlier and things. So I wrote the song and I reflected on it. Then I was like, meditate, like to maintain that balance within yourself and everything. And I didn't mention this earlier, but meditation was key in like the whole change because the guy didn't mention it to me and everything, the public speaking guy. But in college, like in 2013, 2012, I had a psychology class and the guy spoke about meditation. And I just was like, man, let me try this shit out. And I remember sitting down it was cold too. I sat down in my dorm room, my roommate was asleep on the other side. And I just like, let me try this shit for like 2 minutes. And I remember I tried the shit. I was like, damn, I don't know what the fuck this is about, but I feel kind of different. I meditated for probably like 5 minutes. It was the quietest my mind has ever been. I felt so much clarity afterwards and shit. And it was just crazy. That was the only time I did it in college. I left it alone. But after I got finished the CPA, I really wanted to study meditation and astral projection and shit. And so I got this meditation book, and the lady broke it down. Like, first, it was like a 6 week meditation book.
hmm
First week was just focusing on your breath. Then the next week was focusing on like showing love and just spreading love within yourself and outside yourself. Another week was like focusing on different parts of your body and things. It was beautiful. It felt beautiful. and things. So meditation was like a core for me. It really made me feel like it helped me connect with myself.
Mm.
So when I did that track and everything, when I made Meta, I knew meditation had to be a part of that song because I'm touching on the pride, the greed, and the lust of mass connection and fame and entertainment. And the only way that I know, for me at least, that I'll be able to handle, those things is if I take time with myself and I meditate and I connect with myself so I can move forward and get to higher levels and things, within myself first and foremost and
Yeah.
things. And yeah, so that's when I wrote the meta song in my office not working and shit. On
And
daytime, I wrote that song. Yeah.
so much, so much good stuff can happen when you're not working and doing other stuff.
Exactly, man. I feel like if I ever when I get to the point to where I can quit my job, I may have to like keep somebody books on the side and shit. I don't know, maybe it could be a bullshit company, but I have to feel like I'm not doing their work and working on my shit. I just have to feel it. Like I don't know, it's just getting away with it and shit. But like, oh yeah, I did work and you was writing balls and shit. I'm thinking about rhymes and shit in meetings. I'm in a meeting, they talking about shit. I'm just like, oh, that's what I should say right there. And
Yeah,
everything. They think I'm taking notes and shit. I'm just writing,
yeah.
writing rhymes and poetries in fucking meetings and shit. But yeah, and when I moved to New York, I felt like I got deeper within it and everything, deeper in tune because in New Orleans, there's not a lot of spaces to do open mics and things. I mean, especially compared to New York, there's not a lot of spaces at all. So I tapped into that and I did those spaces out here and I just got deeper because out here was when I first started wearing masks. I wasn't wearing masks back home.
Mm.
I was barefaced, naked face, whatever you want to call it. I was just out there doing my poetry and things. And out here, I was like, all right, this minority, and I really reflected on my change. Who I was and things. And I was like, damn, I came a long way. That little frightened kid to this man just up here on stages and everything. And yes, he's still afraid and nervous and things, but he's still braving through that and still getting on stages. And I was like, I really want to embody my change. I really want to show that. So I was like, well, I mean, I don't know too many ways to do it. I mean, I'm not gonna wear butterfly wings. I mean, not saying anything wrong with it, but that's post. It's after you made the change already. You already the butterfly. Now I want to embody my change. I want to be the cocoon and things. So that's what led to this minority. Because I mean, yes, like you said earlier, other people on some level experience the type of loneliness I felt, but their loneliness is unique only to them. We have some similarities, but their story is their story. My story is my story, and the minorities are the few.
Yeah.
And I am one of one, so I am this minority.
And Theo, thank you so much for sharing that. Um, Going back to one of the things that you said, and we'll end on that note of, the importance of meditation and the inspiration for the song and how meditation you
Mm,
see as such an important tool as you develop a deeper relationship with mass connection and navigating greed, lust, and the other emotion that you
right,
mentioned,
yeah,
pride. Yeah, thank you.
yeah,
Ultimately, that resonates very deeply with me, and I take it a step further. For me, meditation, which can be in any many forms, is about remembering.
Mm,
remembering, where we came from and what led to us doing this in the first place,
exactly.
remembering our core values, right?
Mm-hmm.
And remembering to come from a place of love always,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
always, always, even when we
Always.
feel fear, when we feel anger, when we feel whatever. So,
Always come back to it.
on that note, my brother, this has been a monumental episode for me.
Same here.
I feel that this is gonna inspire people long after you and I are gone. And for that, I am very grateful to you, Theo, and to you, our audience, for joining us,
Yes.
for sticking it all the way through. We hope that Theo's story has done something within you to unlock something within you to find a deeper part of yourself to help you either unlock the artist within or recognize the importance of devotion in trying to find yourself and your exploration. And we hope that this leads to more growth within you to help make this world ultimately a more beautiful place. And so, with that, I bid you adieu till the next episode. Love and light. Thank you.
I'm gonna like, thank you, man. Thank you for having me. Peace and
Thank you.
love.
Thank you.